What's going on, guys, man? Welcome back to the Hood Philosopher, and today we're going to be talking about some amazing things. Remember, on this channel we're going to be talking about a lot of esoteric topics, world theories, other dimensional beings, spiritual, and just whatever comes to mind. But today we're going to be talking about something very interesting, something that a lot of people talk about, and that it's allegories throughout the whole universe. We're going to talk about the allegory of Plato. And we all know that it's important to study and to get deep into these topics, especially as, you know, minorities and different nationalities and different ethnic groups or whatever. I didn't really see too many, African American guys, especially, talking about these different type of topics, past history and philosophic avenues. So if you tune to this channel, man, hit that like and subscribe, man. You're gonna hear a lot more about it. Let's dig into it. So we all know that Plato comes from, around the 400 BC area, which was about 2,400 years ago plus. And Plato studied underneath the great philosopher Socrates. And Plato, has some writings, because Socrates, he never actually really wrote down anything. He just kind of had it all in memory, and he would teach his students. But Plato was smart, and he knew that, this was great lessons, this was great information that he wanted to get out to the people. So he wrote this down. And one of the profound books, of that century and of that era is called the Republic. And in the 7th book of the Republic, Plato goes to go ahead and break down the conversation that was an allegory. And allegory literally just means, a story or something that explains a hidden meaning to a situation, so that's basically what an allegory means, in layman's terms. In the Republic, in the 7th book, he begins to talk about Plato's cave. And Socrates is talking to Plato's brother, and Plato's brother is Glaucon. I know it sounds a little funny, but his name is Glaucon. And what Socrates begins to explain to him is that, in this world, in this life, it's likened to living in this dark cave. And he explained, these prisoners that were living in this cave, and they never left the cave. They never seen the outside world. All they knew was inside of this cave. And they were chained at their neck, and he said that they were chained at their feet. Interestingly, their hands wasn't chained, but their neck and their feet was. And that's, actually something interesting too that I can probably break down a little bit later. But just hear me out. So in this cave, you have these prisoners, and, there's fire in this cave, and, these prisoners are facing one way, straight way, one projected way, so it's linear, so it's already like on a 2D determined line or whatever. And in this cave, they're seeing shadows on a wall, and what these shadows represent is the objects in their reality inside this cave. So inside the cave, they see birds, but they don't really see real physical birds, but they see shadows, and they see interpretations of what they think is a bird and what's a dog, what is another animal, what's a plant, what's a tree, so they don't know anything else but what's inside of this cave and what they see on the wall. However, one day, one prisoner decides to break away. And when this prisoner breaks away from the norm and the shackles are broken, he ends up going outside, and he stumbles outside. And the first thing happens is he noticed that there's a whole big world outside, and he's blinded instantly by the sun. Now it's interesting because the fire inside of the cave is the only internal light that they know of, that they use to light their way in life. And it's a small light relegated to the light, which is the sun, which is the ultimate fire. Nothing's hotter than the sun, perceivably. So he's blinded by the sun, and he's seeing everything, but he's half seeing it because he's seeing real trees for the first time. He's seeing these objects, and we got to understand that inside of this cave, which this cave, we will represent, our own beliefs, the things that our parents taught us when we were smaller, or the things that our professors and that the teachers and our college professors taught us, in things that we grew up into. and saying, no, you shouldn't learn about this, or you shouldn't worry about this, because we were inside this dark cave. But this person who left the cave had an awakening, right? He ended up seeing that, no, there's something that's natural and there's something that's realistic outside of the cave. So he ended up, going about, and he started seeing the whole new world. Now, we know that shadows are 2D because shadows are flat. It looks like it's a 3D object bouncing off of the wall, but the shadow in itself is only 2D, I'm sorry. But when he stepped outside and he can touch a dog, he can touch a physical tree, he noticed that there's another dimension to his eyesight and to his whereabouts, his senses, that he never knew inside of the cave. And that's the whole situation, is about the awakening. You know what I'm saying? When you have an awakening, you're stepping outside of your world that you knew for so long, the cave, the principles, all the ideologies that you were taught when you were young, growing up, and everything now feels unfamiliar. It feels new and exciting. However, when he stumbled back down to the cave to let the prisoners know, hey, there's a whole new world out there. There's something different going on. He was blinded by the sun because he had never seen the sun before. So just imagine, with the wisdom and knowledge, when you find something and you study something, you have an awakening. Sometimes it's going to be so bright and it's going to be so stunning that you're not going to be able to perceive it all the way, and you may stumble in your learning and in your gathering. But however, it doesn't mean that it's not truth that you're walking in, or it's not something entirely new. So when he came back down to the prisoners and they noticed that, he had been outside, they can tell his countenance, and, but at the same time he was stumbling and he just couldn't really walk the same because he was blinded by the light. But the light was actually good. It was wisdom. It was something that he saw that was not inside of the cave. And these people were so afraid because he came down stumbling and he looked like he was out of breath and he was talking crazy. They were saying, what do you mean there's a whole new world out there? No, this is the world, we're used to this world. Why would you go out and try to, put that on us? So Socrates was explaining to Glycon, which was Plato's brother, that most likely when you go through an awakening and you're trying to go to a higher place, into your higher self, most likely when you come and you get around your family, your friends, and the ones that you've been around this whole time, and they don't see you for the same person anymore because you've been enlightened, you've been transfigured, most likely they're going to try to kill you, or they're going to try to, not listen to you or understand where you're coming from. But, this allegory is very important because this can be something that can be placed in many different facets. For example, right now, even inside of the earth, we see things in 3D. We live in a 3D world. But imagine if the earth is the cave and the fourth dimension, which is outside of time and space itself, what if that was a whole nother dimension, and it would be the same as leaving the 2D, going into the 3D, which is the earth. But what if we leave the 3D earth and go into a 4D dimensional? That is something that is of a higher space and a higher continuity and cognizance. So I just wanted to kind of touch on this a little bit. We're going to definitely come back to it, but, leave a comment, leave a like if you guys understood this, if you want to hear more. But, just imagine, if we broke, from the same traditions that tried to hold us down, that tried to keep us, not learning. And if we stepped outside of that, whatever your cave may be, it may be, the same ideology that your parents put on you when you were younger. It may be the same, barriers that your coach, your basketball coach, your football coach say you're not going to make it, say you're not going to ever make it to the NFL, whatever that is. But I believe Socrates and Plato, most importantly, was trying to use this allegory, this hidden meaning in the story, to let us know that we can supersede the situation that we're in, and we can go to a higher space. But we have to also understand that when we do go to our higher self and we go to a place where we try to reach a different destination of thinking and of mental stability, everyone is not going to understand, and everyone is not going to be there with you to support you. And, I started this channel because, I got my bachelor's and now I'm working on my master's, so I'm definitely educated. But you know, I wanted to know what's deeper into the universe and what's deeper into the spiritual things of this world and the esoteric things, because, you know, you live this life and you know 2-3% of this world, but there's a depth in it that we have untapped, and there's unimaginable things that we have untapped that we have to get into. I feel like, you know, it's a whole mind, body, and spirit. So appreciate y'all for listening, man. If this, you know, caused you guys to think, if this caused you guys to study, if you guys want to hear some more things, I'm going to be studying, I'm going to be researching, I'm going to bring you guys more material. But I appreciate you guys for listening. Make sure y'all tap in, man. Make sure y'all get that wisdom and that understanding. Y'all listen to the Hood Philosopher, and I'm out.